Thanks to the support as a channel member, Matt Roberts. Oh, the games don't get any easier, do they? We've got to play Leipzig to confirm our spot at the top of our Champions League group going into the knockout rounds. And then third place Chelsea in the Premier League. And we're 6 points behind Manchester City at the moment as well. It feels like it's, even though things are still going quite well, it somehow feels like it's unraveling. I think this is that managerial stressy pressure thing that I hear so much about. And welcome to Club 4, part 48 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have those two games for you against Leipzig and Chelsea. And, I mean, I've already described the situation before things have kicked off. Champions League-wise, we are already qualified, but we do want to finish top of our group. The head-to-head we've got against Leipzig at the moment, we drew 0-0 with them in our away leg. So we've got a much better goal difference, but it is decided on head-to-head in the group. So, and as long as we don't lose, then the goal difference comes into play. I think that's how it works. So the plan here, not lose at home to Leipzig, should be doable. Leipzig are 5th in Bundesliga. I'd like to think as the team second in the Premier League and back-to-back Premier League champions, we should be able to beat them. And then in the Premier League, Chelsea, who are 3 points behind us, but we've got a game in hand, as do Manchester City, who are 6 points ahead of us and already have a far superior goal difference. They've not lost a game yet this season. Manchester City are a problem again. They've kind of, it's not that they've come from nowhere, because they are Manchester City. They've been consistent Premier League champions for a long time. But what they've done during these 2 years while we've been winning the Premier League is they've invested hugely in players who are now really, really starting to impress. We've already looked at Dario, who was signed age 21. They're doing the kind of transfers we should have been doing. Steve Mounier, now 25, would have been 23 when he signed, and he's now one of the best players in the world. They signed Adrian Rodriguez from Liverpool, now 24, would have been 23 when he signed. They've signed a lot of very good young players who are going to be absolute superstars for them for the next 5 to 10 years. And they're now dominating the best 11 again, the way they have for so long. Michele is now in the best 11 as well, former Norwich boy. Delgado's still the best player in the Premier League, but not by a long way. And there's a lot of Manchester City players well ahead of the rest of our squad. The thing with Delgado, although he's the best player in the Premier League, he's a long way away from most of the rest of our squad. Ivan Fernandez is the only one coming close to him really on star rating at 4.5 stars. He's Dario's central defensive partner internationally for Spain. I mean, the fact that Spain somehow didn't win the World Cup baffles me, because they've got Dario Fernandez and Delgado all in their team. And it's Damian Paviot's team, Portugal team, who won the World Cup that's just happened. Football is mad. So we need 2 wins. It was a long and fancy way of saying that we need 2 wins. And this is the team we're putting out there for the first of those, hopefully, 2 wins. Hoyenhall in goal, a back four of Eranua, Caesar, Mura and Fernandez. Navarro at the base of the midfield. Tonali and Tipple ahead of him. Schultz then behind Pedro Luis and Delgado. There probably is an argument that we could be rotating for this match, especially because we don't necessarily have to win it. We just have to avoid defeat in it. But I worry. I worry about the Champions League. And I mean, ultimately, the Champions League is the thing we want to win this year. We've won the Premier League twice in a row. I don't think we have much left to prove by winning the Premier League a 3rd time on the bounce. As long as we're staying in the top 4. I know for the fans, they'd obviously like to keep winning it, but for us, I think our focus 100% this year is on the Champions League. Therefore, it's absolutely vital that we finish top of our group, because that then gives us a better draw in the knockout rounds. So that's why we're playing the full strength team today. It does mean we'll probably have to rotate a little bit for Chelsea, which potentially will cost us domestically. But I'm kind of feeling this is going to be my last season at Norwich, regardless of what happens. I think we are going to be looking to move on in the summer. I think in an ideal world, we win the Champions League this year and then have a decision to make about whether we end the save or go and do the, that was going to be a beauty, or go on and do hopefully Dortmund, or it doesn't have to be Dortmund, some kind of final flurry abroad if we've already won the Champions League. But on the flip side of that, if we don't win the Champions League again, it is starting to feel like, and I've said it a couple of times already now, we've taken Norwich as far as we can. We know in the far distant future there is a new ground coming in, but it's going to be a while away. We've won the Premier League a couple of times. We've assembled a squad. They'll never get a squad this good again. We've assembled a squad of absolute superstars. But if we're constantly banging into the issue of us being small and naive and not experienced at the highest level, it is going to hold us back from winning the Champions League. So I think it kind of has to be now or never when it comes to Norwich winning the Champions League, because I am going to be looking for a job at the end of the season to go and finish things off, hopefully at Dortmund, but if not, somewhere else. I feel like the last thing I need to prove as part of this career, if we're looking at logical progression of my career as a football manager, we're putting realism mode, fully engaged, I think I need to prove I can do it abroad, because at the moment that's the blot on the copybook. I went abroad and the records show that I failed, even though I still maintain we'd have won the Champions League by now with Schalke if we'd have been at Schalke all this time, and they were far too quick to sack me. But I think I need to prove that I can go abroad with my one adaptability, or just go abroad and get sacked again and have you all laugh at me because you seem to enjoy that, you bunch of monsters. Oh, I'm choking on my anger there. We are 1-0 up, by the way. I know there are a few of you who just listen while you're playing FM, and I'm sort of on the screen behind where you're playing. So apologies for not mentioning the match at all so far. We are 1-0 up. It's the 77th minute, and I imagine now I'm focusing back in on it, we're gonna concede an equaliser. In fact, Aaron is playing it forward to Sione, who's just come on, ball over the top, looking for Pedro Luis. In fact, I say ball over the top, it wasn't really. It didn't go beyond the defenders, and Pedro Luis found himself having to get into an aerial battle against one of the Leipzig defenders. And although he is better in the air than Delgado would have been in that situation, he didn't really have anyone to flick it onto. And as predicted, the moment I focus back in on the game, we concede a goal. Those of you who watch my streams regularly, I stream most afternoons over on Twitch, twitch.tv/LOLLUJO, where we're continuing the Leamington version of this save over there. We're in the Football League now with Leamington. But those of you who do watch me over on Twitch will know that our best results usually come when I'm not really paying attention to the game and we're having a deep and meaningful chat about something else. And then when I focus in on the game, we end up losing. And exactly the same thing is happening here. I talk about my future plans for the first 75 minutes and we're cruising. Focus in on the match just for a minute and it lets Leipzig back into the game. But thankfully, as expected, a draw is fine. There was a little bit of worry that an away goal for them, because I would say a 0-0 at their place, 1-1 at our place, under the old away goal system, that would put them ahead on head-to-head. In fact, what are you talking about, Chapman, you buffoon? They're 3 points behind you. It only would have been an issue if they'd have beaten us. If they'd have beaten us, they'd have had a better head-to-head. I see why some of you get cross sometimes. Edit that out. Edit that out. It will all be fine. Let's go and play Chelsea. So, as expected, we are shuffled a little bit for the Chelsea game. Dinamarco and Aaron's coming in at the back. Bindi back in midfield, and Sione is going to be starting up front alongside Delgado. This is, we said it about the Leipzig game. I actually made it more about this one. Leipzig was must not lose. This one is must win, not just to stop Chelsea closing the gap on us, but also to keep in touch with Manchester City, who, as we looked at before, are having a stupid good season. They're playing Leicester, who are down in 17th place, in a little bit of a relegation battle this season, Leicester. So you would expect a comfortable 3 points for Manchester City. So if we're dropping points here, it's going to bring that gap out to 9 points over us. And it's not even the halfway point of the season. And that is looking difficult to catch up unless City have an absolute collapse. Should have left at the end of last season. Should have left on a high. We're gonna finish fourth. Oh, it's all falling apart. We're gonna finish fourth, and we're gonna get knocked out of the Champions League in the quarterfinals, and the Norwich fans will forever hate me. It's not that bad. We're just City are having a crazy good season, and we're slightly behind. It is fine. Etienne Tipple's just scored his 7th of the season already. He is back in incredible goal scoring form again this year. And it is 1-0 to Norwich. And it is a lovely goal as well. People have questioned why Bindi, who we spent all that money on, and is a natural Mazzala, is not playing the Mazzala role for us regularly. And it's because Tipple. Just because Tipple. Tipple, I still think long-term, probably plays the role that Tonali now sits in. Tonali, of course, now the former Chelsea player. But, I mean, Bindi's got to show that he can weigh him with as many goals as Tipple does playing in this role. And can I just point out, that's an overlapping centre-back there. That was brilliant from Dinamarco. And Bindi with the shot that unfortunately he can't squeeze past the goalkeeper. And I get that the best way for Bindi to show that he can score goals from that role is to play that role. It's not how it works around here. He's had opportunities to play there. He came on in the last match to play as a Mazzala. If he takes his opportunities and does really, really well with them, then he gets to stay in the team. That's how our team has always worked. Dinamarco is a perfect example of that. We've brought him in to be effectively our 4th choice centre back purely because he's homegrown in England and he helped us meet our homegrown quota. But the longer time goes on, the more and more he is forcing himself into being a regular starter for this team. He's certainly ahead of Noll in the pecking order, probably ahead of Caio Caesar at this point as well in the pecking order consistently. And I mean, getting very close to being our regular starting centre-back because he's brilliant. I really like him. Right, we are going to take off Eranua and we are going to drop Tipple back to left-back. And we will let Bindi play there, potentially. I mean, I might be taking him off in a second, but our starting point is Bindi's playing there. Yedro's going to come on as well because Yedro needs game time. And then Tipple is tired. I guess Caio Caesar can go out to left back. We bring Fernandez on and do that. That was originally what we signed Caesar to do. So I'm just going to swap those two around that way. Dinamarca, I think, better in the covering role. Suits him better. Right, Caesar to Eranua. So the substitutions haven't gone through yet. Still 2-0 to us. Eranua trying to get the cross in. Cross to that far post. Delgado's been fouled. This should be a penalty and 3-0 and job done. Fingers crossed, referee. You know your role in this little scenario that I've just painted out in front of you. He has awarded the penalty and Delgado doesn't miss these very often. So this should be 3-0. The substitutions have now gone through. And I cursed him by saying he doesn't miss them very often. He's missed that. Well, yeah, I mean, it's still a half-decent penalty and it's a good save. Yedro with the corner, looking for Max Aarons. I don't even know why Aarons is in the penalty area there. Fullbacks are instructed to stay back on corners. They're just a law unto themselves, these boys, sometimes. Partly because the set-piece creator in FM is such a mess that chances are he's not set to stay back on. In fact, shall we check? Because he should be set to stay back on corners. So I think that was the far post. There he is, look. What was it? A corner from the left. Still back. Might have been the far post one. No, on all instructions, Max Aarons is supposed to stay back from corners as the right back. That corner came in and he was stood inside the penalty area. So what's the point of having a set piece creator if the players are then going to completely ignore it? Hoyenhal with the save. And now Chelsea have got a corner. I wonder what their set piece instructions are. I imagine theirs are followed to the T. Shepherd with the headed clearance, and it's a Chelsea player who gets there and just runs it straight out of play. 15 minutes to go. Still 2-0 up, and Manchester City are still beating Leicester 1-0. They scored that goal really early on, an Mbappe penalty. Still only 1-0, so the gap between us and them remains 6 points as things stand, and Arsenal inserting themselves back into the mix in third place, with Chelsea, of course, dropping these points here as we have comfortably beaten them. I think it's clear to me that City are the only team in the Premier League on our level. It was between us and them last year. It's going to be between us and them this year again. We're just better than this Chelsea team. Tonali has had an upgrade coming here, and Delgado, that's a big miss again from him. He's not scoring as consistently this year as he did last year. For the man who is the best player in the Premier League, TM, he needs to kind of score a few more goals. That would be nice. Bindi then in the Mazzala role, and then playing it out to Caesar, who's in a crossing position. If you can find the cross, plays it back to Bindi. Bindi to Caesar again. Cross does finally come over. It falls to Max Aarons, who must have thought it was a corner. He was so far forward, and his shot goes wide. It remains 2-0. We've been very, very good here today. This has been pretty comfortable. Let's give the boys a pat on the head and hope there was a late Leicester goal. A late Leicester goal would be absolutely perfect. And where are we? There wasn't. There was a late Manchester City goal. So the gap remains 6 points. We are through as top of the group in the Champions League as well. So job done for the episode. We're going to get through a chunk of games now before tomorrow. We'll probably, unless something major happens transfer-wise in January, we'll probably just go all the way through to the Champions League first knockout round, as that's our priority this season. If anything major does happen in January, I'll obviously show you that. Otherwise, we're about to jump forward to the end of February. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.